Continuing our discussion now with President Oscar Arias of Costa Rica. Mr. President, we only have about a minute or so left. You have been talking how everything mitigates toward the President of Nicaragua seeing that it is in his best interests to reach an agreement. The President of the United States, I don't think, is all that convinced. A number of people in Congress are prepared to say it would be wrong to vote $270 million in aid to the Contras. How are you going to convince President Reagan?
Well, as you know, I visited your country only about a week ago. I had the chance to talk to President Reagan at the White House. I also had the chance to address the Congress of the United States. And the essence of my address was, let us give peace a chance. The ball now is in the Central American court. We deserve an opportunity. We took a risk for war in the past, and we have failed. Nicaragua is not a more pluralistic society now than it was before. Why don't we take now a risk for peace? And I think Congress understood that. And I'm sure they'll give us the opportunity to the 5 presidents of Central America to go ahead, to go along with the plan. I'm sure that if we are given this opportunity, we'll be able to comply with the Guatemala court.
All right.
Confident.
President Arias, I'm afraid I have to interrupt you at this point. We've run out of time. Let me add my own congratulations and all Americans to you. You are in a very elite group now of Nobel Peace Prize winners, and I hope that your confidence is warranted and that we see peace come to Central America. Thank you so much for being with us, sir.
Thank you.
That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night. We began our broadcast tonight with a joyous story, and that is clearly a blessing on a day that some folks would already just as soon forget. One of the most dismal days that Wall Street has seen in some time. The question investors are asking tonight is whether one of the most durable bull markets in history is over. First, a brief look back. The market's upward climb began in the summer of 1982 from a low of 776. By the end of that year, it had smashed through the 1,000 barrier to all-time highs. Things hummed along until 1986 when a new momentum took hold. The Dow Jones Industrials closed above 2,000 only last January, peaking at 2722 in August. What had gone up then began to come down like a stone. A drop of nearly 500 points in 2 months, 235 points this past week alone, and a record 108 points today. With us now in our New York studios is Susan Lee, senior editor and columnist for Forbes magazine, author of Susan Lee's ABZs of Economics, and a consultant to ABC News. Susan, are we simply at the end of a correction, at the beginning of a bear market, or is there some disaster that we haven't yet dared talk about?
Well, that's certainly the question of the day. It's the question of the weekend. It's the question that people are going to be puzzling over until Monday morning. I think, or that is to say, I think, and most people on Wall Street think, that this is just the long-awaited, long-anticipated correction, that this bull market, as you said, has been extremely strong, it's been long-lived, it's been vigorous, and people have been expecting that what goes up is going to come down a little bit. Right now, although it's been very dramatic, it's only come down a little bit in percentage terms. I think it's down from the high in August, 17%. That's not a lot for a correction. Could come down a little more, but as of this moment, there's no reason to think that this is the end of the bull and the beginning of the bear.
All right. Do a favor for all of us. There are a lot of people out there who do not have any shares in the market, who don't hold any stock, and who are probably saying to themselves, well, what do I care? So, I mean, if I had stuff in the market, that would be a problem. Explain to us all how a really spiraling down market can have an adverse effect on all of us in different ways.
Oh, well, it reverberates. For instance, let's say you are that unique person who has no shares in the market through your pension fund, through your mutual fund, anything. Your next door neighbor, however, probably does. He or she is going to be quite chilled by this experience. He or she may stop buying. It can have a kind of reverberating effect on the economy where everybody gets chilled, everybody gets nervous. Investors in bonds, for instance, might become nervous. Foreign investors, not just in the stock market in this country, but foreign investors who are buying our real estate and other hard assets might get nervous. I mean, this whole thing could, and I'm not saying that it will, but it could reverberate in the most disgustingly sickening way.
What could it do, for example, in terms of inflation?
Well, it's usually the other way around. People think that inflation is what's driving the market down, that fears about inflation will send interest rates up, which will make bonds or the bond market more attractive than stocks. And so the notion is that people are now cashing out of the stock market in order to invest in the bond market. Whether the market goes up or down at this point has a lot to do with whether the dollar goes up or down or perceptions about inflation. I think it's kind of, the causation is flipped.
All right, if you had to put your money where your mouth is right now, Susan, though, you would say, hang on to your dollars, folks, because sometime in the next week or two, you're going to want to put it back into the market. Is that right?
Well, I think it's interesting that you're making this timing forecast of the next week or two. I'm going to remember that. What I would say is if you haven't cashed out now, it is absolutely too late. Usually small investors make the mistake of buying at the top and selling at the bottom. If you haven't cashed out, just hang on for a while. And I'll go with your week. I mean, I think Monday and Tuesday probably will be up days. But it doesn't make sense now to cash out. It doesn't make sense because it doesn't look like the bear is here.
Okay. Susan Lee, I also thank you for giving up your Friday evening. It was nice of you to be with us. Thanks a lot. That's our report for tonight. I'm Ted Koppel in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been ABC News Nightline. If you wish a printed transcript of this or any Nightline broadcast, please send $3 to Nightline Transcripts, 2 John Street, New York, New York, 10038. Nightline is a presentation of ABC News.
Continuing our discussion with Robert Ball and Jim Jones in Washington and David Jones in New York, we've got about a minute left, and I'm going to ask one question. I'd like each of you to take a crack at it. In view of the fact that its money cannot be used for anything else, wouldn't it be the right thing to do to take Social Security off the federal budget and count it as a separate account? First of all, you, Mr. Ball.
Yes, it would be, and it is, except for purposes of deficit reduction. And because it counts for deficit reduction, Social Security will make an enormous contribution to deficit reduction over the next 5 years.
All right. Jim Jones?
I think whether it's included in or out of the budget is immaterial. I think all programs, Social Security and all of them, have to contribute to the financial soundness, and so however you count it, on or off the budget, it's got to participate in the program of making this country financially sound.
David Jones?
The key is fiscal discipline. We've got to have all spending items on the table and limited in order for us to get our house back in order.
Thank you very much. Thank all of you. Thank you for those succinct answers. That is our report for tonight. I'm Britt Hume in Washington. For all of us here at ABC News, good night.
This has been ABC News Nightline. If you wish a printed transcript of this or any Nightline broadcast, please send $3 to Nightline Transcripts, 267 Broadway, New York, New York, 10007. Nightline is a presentation of ABC News.